Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome. I cannot believe that over half the year is gone and we are already into July. It's absolutely bonkers and insane to me. But yeah, it is what it is. So welcome, everybody. With me today, I have got Julie Gannon. She is with Untangle the Knot. And Julie's going to talk to us a little bit about relationships and what happens if a relationship has run its course or stuff like that. So she's going to dive into all of that. But Julie, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about Untangle the Knot, and you have to answer my very favorite question, which is you have to tell us something not a lot of people know about you.
Okay, the famous icebreaker questions. Okay, thank you very much, and thanks for having me with you here today. My icebreaker question there would be, my first career was, MBA, corporate finance, all of that. And I was in the telecom boom and bust way back, in the early 2000s. And at that point, I was ready to switch careers. And I actually started school to be a chef. And I realized partway through that means every weekend night, every holiday, I'm going to be not hanging out with my friends and family, but I'm going to be doing that. So I decided to make that my hobby. And that's one of my passions that I love to do is entertain and cook really amazing food for my people. So that is my what a lot of people don't know about me. And with Untangle the Knot, the best way to think about it is when somebody is in some kind of relationship distress, whether it's, marriage kind of on the rocks and needs some help through that, trying to figure out whether your relationship can be saved or whether to go, or starting divorce, we are the best first call. And the reason for that is because all of these scenarios are so hard, they're so complicated, and people don't know the best resources to go to. And we have some very powerful online programs. We also have personal coaching along with that. And then, more importantly, we have connections to amazing professionals all across every discipline, from, therapists to financial planners, lawyers. So we can always connect our clients to the professionals that are going to be the best fit for them.
That's fantastic. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit deeper on that. What would you say to those couples who are having issues? They've already tried therapy, but they're not quite ready to give up yet.
Well, I would say if you think there's a shred of a chance, give it another try, because, it's always worth saving a marriage if you can, especially when kids are involved. And I would say that oftentimes therapy does not work for everyone. It can sometimes take a long time and people don't necessarily have the patience for it. And it can really oftentimes delve into history and why are the relationship patterns as they are. And what we have done is created a program called Better by Tonight. And this was developed by Nancy Hamilton, who is our head relationship coach and head of relationship programs. She has been working with couples for 30 years. And she has the best of the best concepts to take couples through those conversations and relationship skills to help get them through the everyday stressors. And it will help a couple understand if there's enough there that they can make the relationship work, or if maybe they need to go in another direction. And even if they do decide that parting is the right answer, they will have learned a lot of those communication skills to help them navigate the divorce process more easily.
That's very interesting. I like that. And I really like your website, the way it's all laid out and everything is kind of I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Of course. So you mentioned it already, but I want to know how, somebody says, I hear this all the time, or I'm sure you probably hear it all the time, is I know my marriage isn't working, but I'm so scared of scarring my kids. Because when kids are involved, some people stick together just for the sake of the kids is things you hear all the time. So how do you kind of navigate that and handle that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and that's, very common. And, I grew up, I was a quote unquote child of divorce, and I was bound to determine that was never going to be me, because I never wanted to put my kids in that kind of a position. But You know what? I found myself in that position and decided I was going to have to do the best I was going to have to do with that. And I just want to let people in on a few thoughts to consider. It has been very well researched at this point that a child from a divorced family is no better or worse off than a child from parents who stayed married. Now, obviously, if there's a happy marriage and a good home, so to speak, that the child is growing up in, that is by far the best answer, clearly. But if there is a couple that they are, they're fighting and not showing respect and love to each other, those are the things that are being modeled for the child. And research has also shown that a child will typically end up repeating those same relationship patterns. So think about the marriage you have. Is that the marriage that you would want for your son or daughter? That is something to think about. And what can really help kids get through the emotional issues around divorce are how well the couple co-parents, and also just the relationship that each parent has with that child. If they really put forth that time and effort to create that emotional safety for the child, that is going to go a long way toward helping the kids be emotionally healthy going forward. And one of the biggest mistakes that parents make is jumping into another relationship so quickly, and there isn't enough time for that relationship between the parent and the child to form in this new way. And that can often lead to feelings of abandonment and insecurity and self-worth issues, which can really follow a child for their whole lives.
I like that. That's very interesting. I never thought about how leaving one spouse and immediately going to another person, that's the impact that it has on the kid. You're not taking the time to come alongside of them and nurture them and encourage them and let them know, hey, I'm a part of this with you, and actually do, get the whole co-parenting thing established before you dive into that new relationship. That's fantastic. I've never heard it put that way before.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and another piece of it too, coming out of a marriage, that is a lot of emotional turmoil, and each person really, it would help them to take the time to do the work, to understand how that impacted them. What are their relationship patterns? How can they heal moving forward? Because jumping into the next marriage is why the divorce rate for second marriages are closer to 70%. People don't take that time.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. So one of the questions that popped up in chat that I want to share with you is, what would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that people make? We've talked on a couple, but are there any more? Are there anything else important?
Yeah, I would say that there are a couple. A big piece of it is mindset. This is hard. And a lot of times a coping mechanism can be some form of denial. He or she would never do that to me. They would never drain the checking account. I'll just deal with this after the divorce is over because it's just too much right now. And I know everything will be okay. And I don't need to put all these things in the parenting plan because of course we're always going to do what's best for the children. It's kind of operating from a state of denial, so you don't have to have the hard conversations now, can lead to so many issues down the road. I mean, oftentimes the post-divorce issues are tens of thousands of dollars more expensive than dealing with the issues up front during the divorce process. So that's definitely a big piece. And I would also just say not getting help early enough. And that's why I say, let us be the first call, because we can point the person in the right direction for their situation. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this in your line of business 100 times where somebody says, okay, I just got divorced. I got the house. I need to refinance it into my name. And you say, wow, guess what? You don't actually qualify for that. Right? So, it's getting all these pieces lined up in the beginning to make a smooth process so they can move on to their next chapter.
Okay, let's dive a little bit into the last year, into 2020. Mm-hmm. How would you say that COVID-19 has impacted relationships, and what do you have any tips or techniques that can help with some of the issues that have arisen in COVID-19?
Yeah, so it's done different things to different people for sure. So the divorce filings have gone up 34% year over year due to COVID, and a lot of this is in so to speak younger marriages that just don't have that history, enough history to be able to navigate the challenges. So a lot of times we just don't learn those relationship skills, and so when things get really tough, it can just be too much and a couple can't take it. It also has, it's made us think a little bit differently about what do we really want with our lives. And sometimes when we take that hard look at ourselves and our lives, we may realize that, hey, this isn't exactly what I want. This isn't what I want for the rest of my life. But at the same time, it also could be, wow, this relationship means everything to me. I can't imagine having gone through this without this other person by my side. And that's a great time. Like I would say, hey, come into our Better by Tonight program, because you can take that relationship that means so much to you and take it from good to great.
That's awesome. I like that. I like the focus that you guys have. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. So let me ask you this: if people were interested in learning more, if they wanted to dive in a little bit deeper, how would they get in contact with you? Where can they, I mean, I know the information's on the screen, but some people are just watching this; they're not reading the screen. So
Yeah.
feel free to audibly share how people can find you and get a hold of you guys.
Yes. So feel free to email me at julie@untanglethenot.com. You can also go to our website and hit the Our Services tab, which shares about our programs, or call me at 720-724-8078, extension 700.
Fantastic. One other question, actually, I was getting ready to wrap it up, but then something else popped up. Is there a point in the process where, let's just say somebody's watching right now, they are starting the process, but is there a point in the process where it's too late to call?
Never. Because, especially if you have kids, the process never ends. The process, it just doesn't end. So there is not a point that's too late. So I would say call at any time, especially even if the divorce is over and everything's fine. Let's talk about where you are emotionally. How are your kids doing? What are some resources to really take all of that healing to the next level?
Fantastic. I was hoping you'd say that. I know I sprung that question on you. It wasn't pre-planned, but I'm happy. Fantastic. Well, again, thank you so much for being here. I loved it. And for the rest of you, just know July is going to be a little bit heavier of some topics. I mean, we're starting off with relationships. Next week we've got a bankruptcy lawyer. Then I think I'm taking a week off, and then we're ending the month with a family law attorney who's going to dive into some of the nitty gritty and stuff like that. So I want to thank Julie for being on. I do not have a theme for August yet. In fact, my pun for July was "you're Julying," so I had to interview a bunch of lawyers. So it works out fantastically. So yeah, I'll be getting a theme for August. If you have a theme that you're interested in, something you want me to talk about, leave it in the comments below. And as always, guys, if you know anybody who's looking to purchase or refinance, send them my way. Interest rates are fantastic. I would be happy to help. Thanks, guys. And thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.